Hello everybody. Hey, so let's talk about a rendering, and I'm going to read you some books from Mr. Peter Reynolds, he has some software called Fablevision software, and there's a program called Animationish, and it's available for free if you go to his website. Google Peter Reynolds Animationish or Fablevision, and you'll find that software. I've linked it in a couple of my weekly intentions. It's really fun, creative software that would really complement all the work we're doing here. You can just kind of fiddle around with it and play around with it. It's fun. Anyway, so Peter Reynolds is an awesome author and illustrator, and he's from Boston, Massachusetts. And we've read a lot of his work. We read Going Places the other day, where they created instead of the go-kart that they were given, they created the flying go-kart, and they won the race, right? So we're going to read a couple of his books here because I want you to be thinking about your right brain right now. You have a great big box here, for your rendering. And this is an example of a rendering. It's a very careful drawing that you do, right? It's not something where you just go crazy and quickly and cuckoo banana. It's something where you take time, and you can even use a ruler. You could use jars if you need circles. So it's something very careful, so you can see what your invention is going to look like. The rendering is the architect's job, right? The architect's job is to make it so you know what the invention is going to look like. And so the rendering helps us know that. So I'm going to read you a couple books by Peter Reynolds about finding your inner artist, right? And having the courage and the bravery to try. Because this is a great big space here. You can fill it with really, really cool drawings of your invention and make it beautiful. So have the courage to try. Put your pencil to the paper or your marker to the paper and make something really, really cool and careful in this space. Draw your invention, how it's going to look. So the first book we're going to read is called The Dot by Peter Reynolds. He is the author and the illustrator of this book, and the publisher, the company that made this book, is the Candlewick Press. So let's read The Dot. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over her blank paper. "Ah, it's a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just cannot draw. Not at all." I bet she can. Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where that mark takes you, Vashti." So Vashti grabbed her marker and she gave the paper a good strong jab. There. Don't do that because it ruins the markers though, right? Okay? And it could go through the paper and go on to the next pages, right? She was a little frustrated. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and she quietly said, "Now, sign it. Sign it." Vashti thought for a moment. "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. I can." She's writing V-A-S-T-I, Vashti. So the next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was so surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot. She had drawn her dot, and it was all framed in swirly, whirly, shiny, beautiful gold. Oh, look, there's her teacher's desk, and there's Vashti's art, and her signature. She signed it. "Humph. I can make a better dot than that," she said. And she opened her never-before-used set of watercolors, and she set to work. So Vashti painted, and she painted a red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow, and she discovered that she could make a a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting. Lots of little dots in many, many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. So Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot at all. So that's called negative space. She painted all of this area around this circle in the middle, and the negative space makes the white dot. At the school's art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Look at all of her dots. Wow, she worked really hard, huh? Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're really a great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "Well, I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw. I can't even draw a straight line with a ruler." Well, Vashti smiled, and she handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. He's nervous. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then, do you know what she said? "Please sign it." There's his dot. So Mr. Peter Reynolds dedicated this to his 7th grade math teacher who dared him to make his mark. So when an artist makes a piece of artwork, they sign it just like in the dot, right? And so you guys have written your names. You're the inventor, the architect, the engineer, and then we have the studio and when you created it and the title here. So your rendering will be drawn here, and you can even sign it in this corner if you want. Sign it. Ask your parents how to sign your name. Ask them to sign their names. It's pretty fancy writing. Sometimes you can't even really tell what it says, but that's their signature. And your signature is a reflection of you. It's your name. You're going to sign it so many times throughout your life. Hey, one last tip as you're making your rendering. Put a piece of paper behind this first sheet here, the cover, so that way it doesn't bleed through. It doesn't bleed through to your first page because we're going to do some other things on your first page. Okay, let's just read 2 more of Peter Reynolds' books in the next 2 videos. This is called the Create Trilogy. The Create Trilogy. We'll also read Ish and Sky Color for just some more inspiration as you guys work on your renderings. See you in a minute.